Welcome to the channel, folks, and buckle up because this is a short of Christopher Hitchens, and he spoke quickly to begin with, and then you put him in a short where whoever edited this, I haven't seen it, but goes rapid fire, and I'm sure I've covered some of this stuff before, but it's Hitchens speaking about made in the image of God, and I know he's going to point out the contradictions in it, and that's just fine by me. If somebody's making a good argument, I go with it. And Hitchens does make a lot of good arguments. So if you're a hardcore Christian or fundamentalist or what have you, this is going to piss you off, probably. Not necessarily. You might be a very patient, confident thinker and listener. Fine, go with it. But nonetheless, Hitchens has a way of pissing people off because he wasn't the most convivial or congenial orators, let's say. But he was a very bright guy, so make no mistake about it. If you were going to debate Hitchens, you better come prepared on many levels.
We have learned a great deal in the recent past about our kinship with and commonalities with other creatures. And we've discovered amazing things about the capacity, including the capacity for family life, solidarity, society building, and so on, among pigs, monkeys, dolphins, and others. And we know, because of the genome program, of our kinship with other much less advanced creatures, and that we are only ourselves half a chromosome away from being chimpanzees. The one thing this is impossible to square with.
Wait, I have to pause. It is true. When you ask people, ask the average person on the street or anywhere, what percentage of your DNA comes from your mother and what percentage comes from your father, and what are the variations? And most people will say, well, 50% of your DNA comes from your mother, 50% of your DNA comes from your father. And that's not true. Roughly 99% of our DNA we have in common with chimpanzees and other predecessors. About 1% of our DNA differs from monkeys, chimps, or what have you. So what shows up in you when you look like your father, if you look like your mother, or your eyes are like your father, whatever it may be, it's only half. Your mother is basically contributing 0.5% of your DNA. Your father contributes roughly half. You've got dominant recessive genes and all that. But every human on Earth basically has 99% of our DNA similar to chimps. That's just a fascinating thing, that you're not half your mother, half your father. You're like 99% chimp, 0.5% your mom, 0.5% your dad.
Is the idea of us being made in the image of God. That's clearly over.
It clearly isn't.
Anthropomorphically, animalistically, whichever way you slice it, we are primates. So in that case, in the image of what God are the others made? It gets you nowhere. It's a strictly meaningless statement.
Well, that's a good, I never thought of that. We humans are anthropocentric, not merely anthropomorphic, because we are anthro, but anthropocentric. The universe revolves around us. The text suggests that, the sacred text going back to Genesis, and then, I used to run in fundamentalist Christian circles decades ago, and the idea there is that God wanted a family. Well, it's an ironic thing. I mean, according to texts and such and all, and the common narrative is that there are angels in heaven. There are family, but they weren't quite human. God wanted something different, some more. And so, boom, Adam and Eve, and go procreate, and let's all do this. In a potentially failed experiment. So then you go down the line, and Israel's in all kinds of trouble, and then they're having trouble with the law, the Mosaic law, Davidic, Then Jesus, and he's got to suffer, and it's all about suffering to get us to this place of restoration. So it's all very anthropocentric, where we're just focused on us, and everything else here is for us. We gave domain over the earth and the animals and all these to us. So the animals don't really matter. But it is fascinating if you divest yourself of that idea, even if just for a moment to contemplate it. Well, what image are the animals made of? They're very, very different. They process things very differently. I Look at the difference between the way animals process the showing of teeth and the way humans process the showing of teeth. When we, like this, a smile, we know that's a smile. The person's happy. They're not a threat to us generally, unless it's a sarcastic smile. In the animal kingdom, when you show your teeth, it means a very different thing. That is a sign of aggression, and plain and simple, which is why it's like very cool that like a domestic dog and cat, well, certainly a dog can pick up on when you're doing this, you're not, you're not doing that. But what image? I thought he was going to go in the direction of not physical attributes, but characteristics like kindness, love, gentleness, thoughtfulness, all this kind of stuff that is theoretically attributed to God. I think it's John, 4:24, I think, where it says God is love. You can look in the Hebrew Bible. You could look in Jeremiah, about loving kindness and patience and all these beautiful, wonderful attributes that help you in a societal context. That, well, if we're made in the image of God, I thought Hitchens was going to go in the direction of, what about all these killings? What about sacrificing your son? What about all this blood and guts? And what about keeping slaves? I thought he was going to go in that direction. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. But he didn't. He kept it basically to DNA. So fascinating stuff. I love contemplating this. I get something out of each one of these, whether I agree, disagree, or don't have any basis for either. I just like taking it in and thinking about it. All right, folks, leave your comments, please subscribe, and we'll go from there. Have a great day. See you on another video, and keep thinking philosophically.